Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode 44 of Sitting Courtside. Like every single week, my name is Dante.
It's your boy Jerry D.
And man, oh man, we are back with some NBA news. We are at the beginning of free agency. Free agency started just a few days ago, and we already have a ton of signings, a ton of moves that were made that we are going to get into. We're going to talk about the closing second half of the NBA draft as well, some other free agents that are still available and where they could go. But until we get there, please make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're an audio-only listener, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating or review, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check out our gamified content here on YouTube as well. And I think that's all I got for plugs, Jerry.
Time to get started then. Let's roll
It's
right
time
into
to get started.
topics.
Yeah, we're not going to waste any time here. We're just going to jump into it. So, first bit of free agency news moves to get started. Paul George signs a 4-year, $212 million max contract to join Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. Out of all the free agency news that has broken the last few days, this seems to be the biggest. There was a lot of questions about whether Paul George was going to return to the Clippers, whether he was going to get traded from the Clippers, he was going to opt in, they were going to work out some sort of sign and trade. He opted out of his deal and ultimately decided to go back out east to join the 76ers, joining another injury-riddled superstar, leaving one in the dust, and then joining Joel Embiid, former MVP. Before we get into other moves that they made as well, Jerry, I just want to get your initial thoughts, your reactions to Paul George joining the Sixers. Does this make them a championship contender, a legit one, or is this kind of like a good move for Philly? It's an upgrade over guys like Tobias Harris, but is it enough to move the needle?
Nah, I think it definitely is enough to move the needle, right? I think pretty much the whole entire season, especially at the deadline in 2024 before the All-Star break, everybody's kind of thinking Philly might try to swing for another two-way kind of player, but it wasn't necessarily going to be a star because of their assets. Nah, we'll see how things kind of go. Embiid gets hurt. Their season kind of plummets. They get to the playoffs, and Embiid plays on one leg and averages 30 in the postseason.
So crazy to think about. Yep.
Still insane. But I think they knocked this one out the park. I think it definitely makes them possibly the second or third best team in the East, right? I think they're right up there with the Knicks. I still think Boston has a gap on everybody else right now, but if they're healthy, there's a big asterisk besides Philly because PG jumped ship from one injury-prone star to possibly another.
Yes, he did.
So it's all contingent upon Embiid's health. Can he actually be ready for the postseason this time around? Because clearly this time around he was not. So I'm really going to put everything on that. They re-signed Kelly Oubre, which is another role-playing piece for them. Maybe you have a bigger starting lineup with two-way guys because that's what Kelly is. That's what PG is at an even better degree than Kelly. So I'm excited for Philly. I think it looks good. Tyrese, Embiid, PG, that's one hell of a big three. I think all three guys combined average something over 83 points or whatever it is. So that's probably going to be the most for a trio heading into the 2024-25 season. So I like it. Can't lie.
Yeah, and you brought up Maxey. He signed a 5-year, $204 million extension with the 76ers. So
well-deserved.
Well-deserved. They brought back their cornerstone, point guard, bringing in one of the biggest name free agents in Paul George. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do believe that bringing in someone like Paul George does move the needle for them. More so, it's like, look at the upgrade. I mean, Tobias Harris, God bless him. He got his bag. He got what he needed from Detroit, going back home to Detroit. But going from Tobias Harris to Paul George is a big jump. Paul George, I believe he's 33 years old right now. He's in, closing on his mid-30s. So he's not, a young buck anymore. He's, kind of leaving his prime right now. He hasn't been the healthiest player in the world over the last few years. On paper, I believe same thing. Yeah, right. I think on paper they're great. I think on paper they are one of the strongest teams, at least in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But it's just a matter of if they're going to stay healthy. Is Embiid going to stay healthy for a full year and then the postseason? Is Paul George going to be healthy for a full year and then the postseason? If everyone stays healthy, I think the 76ers could cause a stir in the Eastern Conference, and they could, upset some teams and really give Boston a fight to make it out of the East next year.
Yeah.
But it's more so just I need to see it happen.
No.
It's hard for me to just like say that, yeah, no, they're guaranteed to make it this far, because
No.
with the injuries, you don't know.
Yeah.
I think they set themselves up nicely to position themselves to be one of the better teams in the East.
Yeah.
It's just all considering. That's all it is.
Yeah, like so we're walking along the same path, man, because pretty much we know what Joel Embiid is capable of.
Yeah.
Although we do crown Nikola Jokic as the best player in the league today because he's healthy, he's available, and he plays way more than Embiid has in the last 3 years. Embiid has the talent to combat that and steal that crown if he puts in 70 plus games of work, plays an
Absolutely.
entire postseason healthy,
He
and
was
goes.
averaging like 35 points a game last year before he got hurt and his season
Yeah,
ended.
yeah. So I'm really, I think we talked about it too when, sometime around the playoff time on this pod, where the teams that you were scared for your Boston Celtics to play against were the Knicks and the other one was Philly, depending on how Embiid looked. A
Right.
healthy Embiid is going to be the best player on the floor probably most nights. So
Sure.
it's gonna be fun. But again, I agree with you. It's on paper, everything looks great. But just think about some notable big threes that kind of flopped. How about the one that just disbanded that he left, or super team situations, let's call it, and the one with the Clippers with
Yeah.
Kawhi himself, Harden, Russ. That didn't pan out too well. The Brooklyn situation didn't pan out too well. Like I'm trying to give him some benefit of the doubt because it's built a little differently, where it's
Right.
not a bunch of perimeter guys doing it.
You have
But
the guard, the wing, and the center. Like it's
so
three very different
yeah.
positions.
In my head, it kind of feels like this is how most big threes should look if you're going to try to piece one together, like Wade, Bron, Bosch. That made sense.
Even
Kyrie,
even
Bron,
the
Kevin Love.
even the Celtics, Allen, Pierce, Garnett.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. So good job, Sixers. But
Yeah. No, they did a good job. They did their job this offseason. They made their roster better. Now it's up to the players to stay healthy. So if they stay healthy, they could be a scary team next year.
and fill out that roster because Nick Batum went back to LA and you got to put some pieces on that team outside of the star players.
He's avoiding Paul George at all costs.
I
Nick
saw
Batum,
that.
yeah, he's really trying to avoid him. But yeah, fill out the roster. But hey, they're looking good so far. All right, so the next biggest news, I guess, to come out of free agency was Klay Thompson signing a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. This was another situation where it was like, is he going to return to Golden State? Are they going to pay him? Is he going to opt? Is he going to do a sign and trade situation? Maybe go to a Lakers, a Clippers, something along those lines, or is he just going to take a contract, go somewhere else? That's what he did. He went to Dallas on a deal that I'm seeing your face right here, and actually, I want to give the floor to you right now. I want to give you the mic. I want you to talk because I have my thoughts and stuff like that. But judging by your reaction and that face, it seems like you have something to say.
I'm just disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all. I mean, your pops played for the Lakers, won championships with the Lakers. Your pops
He
covers
came out
Lakers.
and he said like I was praying that he would end
Yes.
his career in
Yeah.
LA. Yeah.
Because he covers the team now. He's been doing it for years. Like, I think the whole feel good story, the whole LeBron esque I'm coming home type thing. Like,
LeBron gave him a phone call apparently right at the start of free agency.
dude,
LeBron was going to take a pay cut and all that.
he was gonna take a $20 million pay cut in
Mm-hmm.
order for the Lakers to pay. I think allegedly it was supposed to be around $80 million for 4 years,
4 years, yeah.
which is
And he
more
said no.
guaranteed money and more guaranteed years that you wanted from the Warriors, but they didn't give. Instead, you take a 3-year deal for 50 mil. And to some degree, I get it. The Mavs were just in the finals. Luka, if you're hitching yourself to his wagon, that's a dude that's probably in the contention as well for being the best player in the league, right? So I'm trying to be understanding. I'm trying to take my bias out. I really am. But to go play with LeBron, I get he's old, but he's still a top 10 player in today's game. To
Yeah.
go play with Anthony Davis, who showed last season that, hey, I can play in 65 plus games. I can be available when I am. Don't forget about me. I'm a top 5 to top 7 player in today's game. Don't sleep on me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that we lost these last 2 postseasons is because we didn't have a shooter and an adequate defender to really get us past the hump, over the hump against Denver in this past season and in the Western Conference Finals a season ago. So he was just a missing piece. And you're from here. You idolize Kobe Bryant. You love the Lakers growing up. You went to games. You've probably been to the Forum. I don't know how old Klay is, but he's probably seen the Forum. It all just made sense. But again, maybe in his head, Dallas has a little more for me. I can go here. Maybe it'll be less
state
pressure.
taxes, I guess, was another reason for it. And just kind of bouncing off what you're saying, I'm not surprised he went to Dallas.
No.
But I am more. It is confusing to me how this whole situation, right, of him leaving Golden State, the center of all of it was him being disrespected by the organization, them not paying him. He wanted an X amount of money. They weren't willing to give him that money. He wanted an X amount of years. They weren't willing to do that. He told Steph Curry, don't tell ownership to pay me because I want them to do it without being, their best player telling them to do something, right?
Yeah.
And he felt disrespected. Where you kind of have to look at it both sides, all right? Klay Thompson's perspective, I get it. I'm not arguing with that. Listen, you've been with this franchise there. They've been giving money to guys like Steph, Draymond. You want your share. This is your last big contract. You want this, whatever. Now you're having people say they gave him the max after tearing his ACL. He misses 2 seasons. He's getting paid all this money, right? And then you have situations where it's listen, his last game as a Warrior, he shot 0 for 10. And he hasn't been the healthiest guy. He hasn't been the most reliable guy in the world. So it's is Klay justified for being this upset, right? He's making this big deal about not getting paid. And then he goes to Dallas, where he takes the least amount of money out of anywhere he could have gone. Again, you could argue the whole state tax thing, the whole how much money you're actually going to make. I understand that. Because if you're going to LA making $20 million a year, I don't have the math in my head, but how much of that is he actually going to make compared to if you're in Texas? The contract might be less compared to what he could have gotten in LA on paper, but he might end up making more money from that, if that makes sense. No. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me or anything like that. But with that being said, I still think the Mavs just made it to the finals. I get that. They need a little bit more they need more shooting. They need an off-the-ball guy. Klay Thompson, I think, can fit in well there. I'm shocked he didn't go to the Lakers or even the Clippers, to be honest with you. I thought, he could have worked his way into that Clippers now that they lost Paul George, Harden, him, Kawhi. I still think that's a group of guys that are, a few years away from being in the nursing home. But I still think those 3 guys have something left where they can make a run. They can do something, experienced vets. The Lakers, I was in the camp of it's either going to be the Lakers or the Mavs just because of how much people were talking about him going to Dallas and how high up he was on the list of sweepstakes, whatever. Him, LeBron, and AD, I think that would have been a pretty good trio. I think he would have fit very well next to LeBron and all the other pieces they have there still, like Austin Reeves. D'Angelo Russell is probably going to get shipped off at some point, but I am surprised he didn't go to LA, not even considering the fact that he's from the area. It does factor into it, but just more so the money and the opportunity. I think he'd have a better opportunity in LA personally than Dallas. But hey, again, to each their own. Maybe he just really wanted to change your scenery, getting out of the state of California. And and that's all it is, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I'm disappointed in the move just because I'm biased. Of course, I want, a top 5 to 6 shooter all time on my team, especially when we struggled with 3-point percentage last year. I would love to add Klay Thompson to the mix of LeBron. And what else do you put around LeBron? notoriously, he's always had good shooters around him. Well, why not probably put the best shooter that he could have possibly played with right next to him? That would have been great.
True.
But yeah, I think Dallas does. It did make the most sense. Again, they're fresh off a finals appearance, and I think it's really more so that Luka's 25 years old, 26 years old. Like that's if I'm Klay, I'm probably thinking about future contracts to where by the time I'm in the contract year next year, like what 2027 or whatever it is, whenever I know I'm about to get paid again, I know I'm going to be 35, 36, whatever it is, but maybe I can play my way into another similar deal. The CBA is going to go up again. Maybe I can make more money with Dallas to stay here for more years. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I think he can put up good numbers in Dallas.
Yes.
Kyrie and Luka taking all the attention from him. He's going to be left open a lot. He's going to be doing what he does best, and that's shooting that rock.
We'll see.
So
I'm a little skeptical. I really am.
I am too. I mean, just judging by how he's looked the last few years, I know he was hurt for a while and he was kind of shaky coming back, and then had a really good season and stuff like that. But he closed his Warriors career out shooting 0 for 10.
I'm not worried about that. Okay, that's a blip. It's a blip on a great resume of work that he did. Even if you just want to talk about last season in general, he averaged damn near 20 points coming off the bench compared to him being a starter. Like, I'm not even mad at what Klay decided to do or his decision to go there, but I want people to just kind of put things into perspective that one bad game does not define who you are or what you can become going.
Klay and Game 6 Klay are two very different people.
Okay, sure. But before we do kind of get on to the next thing here, to kind of harp on your Warriors comments, because I was very biased in this whole conversation. I think I'm interested, one, to see how Klay does in a new system, because we've only seen him alongside Steph Curry for the last 11 years or so, however long it's been, and he's been wonderful. But how's that going to look where I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I don't think it's a hot take or anything, but both Luka and Kyrie are what we call ball stoppers, to where Kyrie moves pretty well without the ball. I can say that, but Luka does not. So in a free-flowing offense like Golden State's has looked for, this plus decade, whatever it's been, you're going to something where the ball usually does stick in Luka's hands a lot more than it does anywhere else, in any year that he's played in Golden State. As for them and how they handle the situation, I kind of do think it was poor, especially when they won a title. Klay still played a major role in 2022 to get that done. I get he wasn't the prime guy or after that's post-injury Klay, but Jordan Poole gets paid, Andrew Wiggins gets paid, Draymond Green gets an extension, the guy that possibly, ended your dynasty to some degree. I'm just saying there's a lot of different places. I'm not trying to blame Draymond for anything, by the way. Let's not take that in context. But there's a lot of different guys that got paid over Klay. And I'd be pretty pissed off, too. I've been hurt, but I've been a franchise guy. Steph kind of pulled this franchise up on his back, but damn it, I'm one of Steph's legs and Draymond's one of the shoulders. So, I mean, it's definitely sad to see a partnership go. I'm not going to lie. When I've seen the dynasty getting kind of pulled apart here, I thought Draymond was going to be the first guy.
Draymond was going to be the domino to fall. Yeah. I mean, it is one of those things where it's you have to reward the guys that have given the franchise so much. Yeah. Steph, Klay, Draymond, if those guys are getting treated this way, you have to do it for all three of them. Jordan Poole, again, getting that money. Andrew Wiggins getting that money. Look now, Jordan Poole's in Washington. Andrew Wiggins is 1 foot out the door. And now, Klay Thompson felt disrespected. I'm happy that the dynasty's over. I honestly, I'm fine. I'm cool with it. Listen, they did their thing. They caused me some heartbreak. We saw they did their thing, but all good things got to come to an end at some point.
Dynasties rarely end amicably, right? I don't even know if I'm saying that word right. I know what it is. Let's just say it doesn't end pretty.
Yeah.
But think about, what with Kobe and Shaq, 3 straight titles. And then, oh, no, I'm the guy. No, I'm the guy. Shaq leaves. Shaq gets traded. Even with, if you want to call what LeBron did in Miami a dynasty, they won 2 rings. LeBron wanted more control of the organization, obviously. Wanted Spo to get fired, all these other things. You know what? No. All right, bet. I'm going back to Cleveland. there's never a happy way to kind of end these things. Even with Brady in the past, right? If you want to bring another sport into this,
Sure.
it comes down to money, it comes down to respect, and the Warriors gave him the respect, but not the money that he deserved in his eyes. So,
Yeah.
I'm not mad at him.
Yeah. Yeah. You do your thing. At the end of the day, he's still making a pretty penny going down to Dallas, and we wish Klay the best of luck. And we'll see what the Warriors do now to pivot.
It's a better
And,
situation anyway. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on from one Texas team to another. The San Antonio Spurs signed Chris Paul to their team, which was he got waived by the Warriors, $30 million contract down the drain. And he decides to go to San Antonio. Now, this, Chris Paul, definitely towards the tail end of his career, 38, 39 years old. You would think that maybe he wants to go to a team where he can potentially win a ring. The Lakers were a team that were being considered. The Clippers were a name that was being thrown around. He ends up joining the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. I think this is a great move for the Spurs. I think he's getting an $11 million deal. And from what I saw was if Chris Paul got waived or, the money that he's making, whatever, if he got waived, he can go to any team he wants to. Whether they want to use him as like a trade piece at the deadline, maybe get some sort of return for him then or waive him and he goes to a contending team. It seems like he's kind of, I don't want to say giving up, but he knows he's not going to win a championship in San Antonio this year. So I wonder if this is like a he signs the 1-year deal thing, trying to show everyone like, hey, I'm still an elite guard. I know I'm old, but I can still do this and that, and hoping to get something next year. Or, hey, maybe the Spurs become really, really good out of nowhere and they are contenders. I don't know. That's kind of what his hope is. But what were your thoughts on this move? Were you surprised to see him go to a team like San Antonio, or do you think this is this is just going to be like a quick stop for him? What do you think?
I definitely think it's going to be a quick stop. I could see CP probably playing on the same scale of like a LeBron, like those 2 to 3 years, probably somewhere in the range. But now the CP to San Antonio move is lit, man. It kind of reminds me of when he got traded to OKC, right? That was the first young team stop that he had. OKC had a 0.6% chance to make the postseason. They end up getting there in the bubble. They're really freaking good. They look good on paper. I get they lost in the first round. I think it was to Houston or whoever it was, but still, nobody expected that team to take that jump, take that leap. Then he goes to Phoenix, a team that went 8-0 in the bubble before he got there, but relatively throughout the 2010s, especially towards the back end, Phoenix is one of the worst teams in the league. He gets there, improves them dramatically, gets them to the NBA Finals, helps Devin Booker unlock his game, helps DeAndre Ayton unlock his game. He just really aids out bigs to the max. Yep. So he leaves there. I'm having a blank space in my head.
He went to he got traded to Washington, right? And then he went to Golden State.
Then to Golden State, where I don't have his numbers pulled up, but he averaged 9 points and 6 assists in 26 minutes or whatever it is. So the dude can still play, and everywhere he's gone, he's elevated a young player or the team in general. Look what he did for Jonathan Kuminga last year, where he took a jump, where he's this whisperer for big men. Even if you want to go back in time, Tyson Chandler is another big one. David West is another big one. DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin. He really does aid bigs.
Clint Capella, come on.
Clint Capella, seriously. Pretty much every big he's played beside has benefited from it. Now,
and he's never played with a big like Victor Wembanyama before.
A generational talent, the guy that's going to help us forget about LeBron and MJ in the GOAT conversations. We're getting Wemby here, who's probably going to be the best player that he's played with, definitely in terms of potential. If he ever gets to see him reach it, this is going to be insane. I think it's going to be another great plus move. And I don't even think we're penciling in, the Spurs to be a playoff team or be a contender or anything like that. I wouldn't. But with the addition of CP, it does make it kind of interesting to see what he could do. I get it's the Western Conference.
His attitude and his leadership. You never know.
And again, he averaged 9 points and 6 to 7 assists last year in limited minutes.
He's going to start this year.
He's going to start. He's going to be able to, crank that offense, have other good young pieces or interesting young pieces. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan,
Castle, who they just drafted.
Stephon Cass, a guy he can mentor, kind of teach him more about. Like, dude, I like the fact. I get it. That's another guy I would have liked to be in a contending situation. The Lakers, the Clippers, somewhere where I know he could have possibly competed for a ring. But he's giving back to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think I could respect the most, really. So this is probably my favorite free agency move, personally. It's like, wow, you probably could have went anywhere else or another contender, wherever that might be. But you decided to go to San Antonio and play with a generational talent.
Yeah, he's not giving ring chaser vibes is what he's giving right there. No, he definitely he knows he can still play. He wants to prove it. He wants to help out these young guys. He's probably going to average 10 plus assists a game next year just from throwing it up to Wemby and just being like, just literally lobbing it up to him, put it up.
Yeah.
So we could see a resurgence a season from Chris Paul, honestly, at such an old age, but he's putting himself in a good position to do that. So, but yeah, no, this was one of my not shocking, but like I love the move. As soon as I saw it came out, I was like, this is great. This is going to be a great move for both sides. They're both going to benefit from it. So I'm excited to see, if they do anything else, the Spurs, the rest of the offseason, or they just kind of ride it out now and they, let Chris Paul lead the way. So
just think about a head coaching and point guard combo with Greg Popovich and Chris Paul. If you would have told me this 10 years ago.
That's also great. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have two of the greatest basketball minds on the sidelines and on the floor on the same team now. So that'll be interesting to watch. All right, let's move on to another signing. We have a few more signings, a few re-signings, and then that's all we really got for free agency. But Isaiah Hartenstein leaving the New York Knicks, going to OKC for 3 years, $87 million, which, it's a lot of money for Isaiah Hartenstein. But it is one of those missing pieces for the Thunder. Another big body, some more rebounding, another 7-footer that, you're going to start Shea. You're going to have Shea Gilgeous, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Chet, and Isaiah Hartenstein now. That's pretty good. And if you want to do small, I know you're paying Hartenstein $30 million a year, close to $30 million. You get the Lou Dort in there and have Hartenstein be a big off the bench or whatever. I think he'll end up starting. But you can play around with some lineups here. Taking him away from New York. New York did offer him a contract, but they were only able to offer so much. I think it was 4 years, $70-something million. Isaiah saw the opportunity to join a team that was the number one seed in the West last year, that he fills a big hole for them. So he's going to have a big role for them. But yeah, and OKC bringing in Caruso and Hartenstein, two guys that will help this roster out a ton, and they really haven't given anything up this offseason. So they're looking like they're having one of the better, if not the best, off seasons right now.
Yeah, no, I like it. You gave up, Josh Giddey, a piece of the core that you kind of felt like probably didn't fit in with the rest of the guys, to go grab Caruso, which is a 2-time all-defensive talent. So makes sense. Then you go fill in the void that they probably needed the most, especially, we were talking about it during the playoffs that I thought there was a possibility that they could have lost to the Pelicans had Zion played because of that pressure around the rim that he could have caused, shook up the defense, probably put Chet in foul trouble. But now you actually get a true center who has the IQ to actually be really good, especially in this free-flowing offense. It's probably a more open, spaced-out system than what he just came from New York, having SGA, having Jalen Williams, and the rest of those dogs in OKC. So, this is definitely one of those sleeper moves. They're, like you mentioned, already the number one team in the West. But if you want to stay at the top and want to go deeper in the playoffs, you got to fill up those needs. And that's what
they've done.
They shored up two of those. Caruso's a 3-and-D guy at this point. And then Hartenstein is just a really smart player. I didn't know he was that good of a playmaker, until the postseason. When Mitchell Robinson got out and he was kind of getting featured in options at the high screen and roll, doing dribble handoffs, making the decision to either hand it off or actually go score with his little floaters. I like Hartenstein. OKC.
He's going to fit in well. I think he's going to fit in well in OKC.
Absolutely.
Another big signing for them. The last signing that we have, or a major one, I guess, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope 3 years, $66 million to go to Orlando. A lot of money, but hey, he's been a very good piece for the Nuggets.
Yep.
Good vet player. The Magic are one of those teams that they're up and coming. The only thing that they're really missing is some veteran leadership in there.
And some shooting.
And some shooting. And Caldwell Pope does provide both those things. I am interested to see if this is the last move they make this offseason, if there's some more signings, trades that they might have up their sleeve. But, good signing for them. Adding someone, they had a ton of cap space. Adding someone like Caldwell Pope adds in, again, that leadership, that shooting that, they've been missing out on. So a good addition to that Orlando squad.
Absolutely. And, I think these type of contracts, when these kind of players get deals like this, it's something that's also movable for the right price for a possible better asset.
And the CBA is going to keep going up, all that stuff. So this $22 million a year contract, it's going to be nothing. Exactly.
By the time it's 2026 at the deadline, they could look at this deal and be like, you know what? We want to go get this guy because I think he fits better besides Paolo, besides Franz, whatever it is. So they have that flexibility to do that, and they still have enough cap space to deal with a bigger contract if he's a throw-in for a big-time trade. But just looking ahead at the 2025 season, especially towards this postseason, the next postseason in 2025, it makes sense. They did struggle to hit outside shots. Paolo was really the most impactful player throughout the postseason. Yep. Franz kind of disappeared. And that was kind of because of the lack of spacing. Jalen Suggs isn't exactly a knockdown shooter. Gary Harris did struggle. Wendell Carter did struggle. So I like the fact that they added another vet. Maybe they go to the second round next year. Maybe they figure something else out. Maybe they surprise some people. Like you said,
they might surprise some people last year. So
they did. Maybe they're not done. So let's see what else they add. They're in the sweepstakes for Lauri Markkanen as well.
Yeah. So, who knows? That would be a big-ass lineup. Paulo, Wagner, and Lauri, if they end up keeping those guys. Obviously, they'd keep Paulo, but if they keep Wagner to get him, that'd be pretty big. All right, now we have some re-signings, and then we'll go over some free agents that are still left, and we'll call an episode. Donovan Mitchell, today, as of this recording, Tuesday, July 2nd, signs a 3-year, $150 million extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers, kind of putting to rest all these different reports. So whether or not he's going to come back, he's going to request a trade, this and that. It's back for another 3 years. The most money being paid to a Cleveland Cavalier since LeBron James, I believe. They want him there. He wants to stay. He shared the video of the Wolf of Wall Street saying, "I'm not fucking leaving." Yeah. So now it's just a matter of what they're going to do to the guys around him. Are they going to bring back Garland? Are they going to, they just who they just hire as their head coach? Kenny Atkinson, right? So he worked with Jared Allen when he was in Brooklyn, Karis LeVert as well. Is he going to, are those guys going to stay around? Is he going to work with them? Because guys like Jared Allen was in the trade rumors, Garland. So we'll see how the rest of this team, how they mold it together for the rest of the offseason. But as of right now, Donovan Mitchell is going to be leading the charge going into next season.
Yeah. And, that's also, I think it's cool to see something like this, honestly, rather than all this movement that usually goes on in free agency that people love to see. And then all the dramatic, Paul George is going to Philly and he's going here and he's going there or whatever. I think it's also cool just to see a guy like, you know what? I like where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay put.
He had it made there.
Yeah. Plus, there's a player option in his last year where he could opt out and take a Jason Tatum kind of deal, but add $50 million to that because he can make $380 million.
The 3-year thing is becoming a trend right now.
It's huge.
I think players realize.
They set themselves up, the 26-year-olds, the 27-year-olds. Hey, by the time I'm 30, this could be my last big deal. Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and, cash out. And that will probably be the biggest contract in NBA history, yada, yada, yada. At that
Every single offseason, there's going to be a new biggest contract in NBA history. That's right.
Yep. So,
good deal, I think, for both sides. Cavaliers stay relevant by keeping one of the best one of the best guards in the league, and
Yeah.
they're going to be in contention by having him there. They're going to be in playoff contention.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
championship, no
Hey,
championship.
I'm just
Hey, I didn't say what type of contention. I just said contention.
true. Because there's still a lot that Cleveland needs to do, and
100%. Guys, some more guy. Mobley still needs to take a step forward. Garland, they need to figure out what he's going to do there. So, but yeah, no, I think Mitchell being there, they're a guaranteed playoff team.
Hey, he's one of my favorite players. I love to see the brother win and get paid, but
he's winning games, not championships.
yes.
Difference.
There we
All
go.
right, let's move on to the Boston Celtics, who had three big re-signings. Jason Tatum, 5 years, $314 million, biggest contract in NBA history. One-upping Jaylen Brown last offseason. Well-deserved. Everyone knew it was going to happen. Derek White, 4 years, $126 million. Could have made more. Took us a little bit less money than he could have, to free up some money for ownership to do other things, or lower themselves in certain aprons, whatever. And then the biggest one is Luke Cornett, 1 year deal. No money was. They didn't disclose how much money it was, but I'm sure it's along the lines of whatever Tatum and White made. But yeah, Celtics, story of their offseason is they're bringing back everyone from last year. They're not really going after any free agents because they really can't. The money that they're tied to, I'm pretty sure they're paying over $900 million to their starting five right now, which is
why they're selling.
Hey, man, you got to, and that is a big reason why they're selling the team. Wick. Don't want to get into that because that makes me very nervous. There are certain owners that I am petrified of them giving it to, although I do trust Wick to put the team in the right hand. So we'll get into that.
Don't do that.
We'll get into that when things actually come about. And
who's going to take the richest deal? Who's going to give him the most money?
He's going to get so much money. He's going to get so much money.
He's not
as long as it's not John Henry in the Fenway Sports Group, I could care less because that man does not care about his sports teams at all. And that's what scares me. Honestly, anyone else, I'd be content with. Just him. We're in some trouble. Anyways, so the Celtics this offseason, besides drafting some guys, they're just re-signing everyone. They're bringing everyone back, bringing back the championship roster because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is a stacked team. Might as well bring them all back and paying the big bucks, but that's what you got to do to keep them together. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, what else should you do? You came, you saw, you conquered. Now you are the one with the mark on your back, with the X on your back. They got to come to your crib. They got to beat you there. They got to snatch the crown from you. So why not re-sign everybody? I think is probably the smartest move that a championship team could do, especially because you guys are creating this new blueprint for teams to amass wing players, an abundance of wings to guard Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and all those guys. So everybody deserves their money, man. Again, let us see your brother get paid. So,
That's right. That's cool, right, man. $314, $126 million. Not too shabby.
But you know what? Before we do move on to the next thing here, it's important to note out that the Celtics have to kind of go all in here and repay everybody because once the new CBA kicks in, you have about 3 to 4 years within this decade with this group. Yeah. To try to win as many championships as possible.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of restrictions. Yes. There's gonna be a lot of inability to spend money and stuff. So do it while you can.
Your luxury tax bill if you're Boston is gonna look similar to what Golden State's look like when they were in the mix of their dynasty. So if you could recreate that kind of magic, then hey, it's worth
it. It's worth it.
Spend that money.
Hey, listen, I'm not spending the money. It's not my money. So they do what they want with their money.
Let's go, Wick.
Do with their money. Let's go, Wick. Spend all that money and then sell it. Genius. All right, last re-signing we have James Harden signs a 2-year, $70 million extension with the Clippers, or contract with the Clippers, player option after this 1 year. So, hey, no Paul George around. James Harden, I know he's older, but he has more opportunity to score the ball more, ball in his hands a little bit more. Him and Kawhi leading the show there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just a move they had. I feel like that's just a move they had to make. You know what I mean? I didn't really know anyone else, what other team he really would go to. I know the Lakers were kind of interested. LeBron James said he would have taken a pay cut to bring in someone like that, but I think it was always kind of one of those foregone conclusions that he's going to come back to LA.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, he's still one of the more talented passers in this league and still one of the more talented scorers, and it's I think we could see a kind of a resurgent season where he's not taking that back seat to a PG or to a Kawhi. He's going to be the bona fide number 2 out there. So maybe we see another 22, maybe it's a season similar to what he did in Philly. 22-10,
Yeah.
22-11 with 6 boards or whatever. He's still got that left in the tank. Don't sleep. Again, you know how I feel about the Clippers at this point. And I was proven right, by the way, again, come 2024. So I'm going to stay on that train. Yeah,
Hey, Jerry, we don't have to worry about them being considered one of the best teams going into every season now. That your nightmare is over.
Sure.
All the hype of them being, this is the year. I think that's out the door.
What really sucks though for the Clippers is that I think they were anticipating moving forward with PG into this Intuit Dome, the new arena out in LA. Finally, the eviction notice came in. Get the hell out of Crypto or Staples and get your own damn place. And they got their own place, but how the hell are they going to sell tickets?
Because I saw a report that said they're kind of lining themselves up to see who's going to be the next stars that they bring in to the Clippers and stuff. When they move into their new stadium and all that stuff. And Kawhi is kind of on his way out. God bless him. I hope they have a good plan in place because I don't know, man. I don't know.
Good luck to you.
Good luck. Good luck. Not my problem. But all right, yes, not our problem. That's right. No. So a few other free agents that are still available, or free agents / guys that are on the trading block that is looking like they could get moved. DeMar DeRozan, big free. Is he going to go to LA? The Lakers, Clippers are in contention. Is he just going to go back to the Bulls? They're saying he might sign a 1-year deal. And then next free agency, he'll enter free agent class where teams are going to have more cap space. Lauri Markkanen is a guy that's been hot and heavy in trade rumors the last week. Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell, and then Brook Lopez. Do you have any predictions of where you think these guys are going to end up? I kind of threw – it's one guy doesn't belong. Lonzo Ball is kind of that guy.
Yeah, it's like the oddball.
Because they're trying to move him. I mean, the Bulls are trying to get rid of everyone at this point. So,
taking bias out, I would love to see DeMar in LA, obviously. But I think Lauri Markkanen is the biggest I can make some waves kind of move that's left. I mean, Golden State lost Klay Thompson. Golden State, with or without Klay, probably – is still a play-in team anyway. So if they're able to add a guy like Lauri and then extend him, you open up their championship window or at least playoff contention window for the next 2 to 3 seasons or however long Steph is going to be Steph. So that's a huge piece. Or if he ends up in Orlando, like we talked about, or he ends up on any of these other contenders, Lauri's definitely the piece where I'm paying attention to Woj and Sham's accounts and trying to see hey, where is this guy going to end up? Because I definitely know he could pour in 25 a night and shoot 40% from deep and command all this attention. It'll be great wherever he ends up. Hopefully it's with a contender and not Utah.
Yeah, man, I've been refreshing Twitter, just kind of make sure that we're not missing on anything. And a report that just came out 2 minutes ago, the Warriors, Kings, Spurs, Timberwolves, and Pelicans are among the teams who've expressed interest in trading for Markkanen. So,
I want him to go to the Spurs.
I think the Spurs would be a great, an awesome spot for him. Playing at the 4 alongside Wemby, put him at the 5. And you got some young guys in there still. Chris Paul, again, that we mentioned. That would be a really cool spot for him. I think Golden State could be aggressive. They missed out on Paul George, losing Klay Thompson. Seems like they need to bring someone in to kind of, save this offseason. Wouldn't be shocked if they went after and got someone like Lauri. DeMar, I can see him going to LA just because he's from LA. There's always just kind of been rumors that he'd be getting traded there, going there over the last few years,
I
whether
just
it's the Lakers or the Clippers.
I
One of
just
those
thought
two.
just now that him and Miami have mutual interests as well for DeMar. So
Miami, I mean, they're always kind of in the loop for guys, so that wouldn't be shocking. Um, Anyone on the Bulls like Lonzo, Levine,
yeah.
God knows where they're going to go. D'Lo, the Laker. Do you have any insight on D'Lo? Where you think he might go? I know he opted in, but
You know, I don't really know where he fits. Like the thing is, everybody has this bad stigma that he had like a terrible season. He averaged around 18 a game. So he's not necessarily a bad player. I just think being in LA, we expect, greatness out of you every time you step on the floor. And you were drafted number 2 overall here. You didn't pan out then, and then you got moved. You came back. I was kind of hoping for him to be that Kyrie, and obviously not the same player, but that scoring guard for LeBron to kind of lean on, take some pressure off of him, have him bring the ball up the court, make smart decisions with the ball. But he didn't live up to that standard. I think he can go into another place and actually be pretty good. If that is Chicago in a sign and trade situation, great. I think a team like Miami should even take a bailout on him. I know they got Terry Rozier, but it'd help to have another scoring capable guard over there. I think it makes sense. I'm not sure where the hell he ends up, but he can still be an effective player. Like, just teams aren't interested right now. So
yeah.
it could be a buyout situation if he's moody about how LA is treating him. So we'll see what happens.
And then Brooke Lopez, another guy that, it's not like super strong in the trade rumor mill or anything like that, but Bucks could be going down a different direction, trying to change up the lineup and everything, their core. He could be on the move. That's another guy that I can see the Clippers, not the Clippers, the Lakers going after. I can see the Spurs maybe even going after him, putting another big guy next to Wemby. I think there's going to be some suitors for him for sure. But yeah, those are the guys that are still out there, whether it's teams go after them via trade or sign them in free agency. But there's still some guys left. There's still some guys left on the table.
If I'm Milwaukee, I don't even think I move him necessarily. I know they want to go a different direction in terms of schemes on both sides of the ball. I think I'll just move him to the bench because a 3 and D5, there's not many of those. Like, I wouldn't mind having him come off my bench. Maybe you get more assets in return if you do trade him, sure, but you got to test the market. I try to move Bobby Portis before I move Brooke Lopez at this point in time. So we'll see what happens with Milwaukee, though, too.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. And I guess the last thing we have here, moving on from free agency, day 2 of the NBA draft, round 2. The only thing that was really notable, no offense to all the other rookies that were drafted,
Crazy.
Bronny James going 55th overall to the Los Angeles Lakers. We knew it was going to happen. It finally did. LeBron James will be teaming up with his son, first father-son duo in NBA history, first father-son duo to even play at the same time in NBA history. Bronny is going to sign a fully guaranteed rookie scale contract, so he'll be on the Lakers roster to start the season. It's kind of like we've been talking about it for a few weeks, about, it's going to happen, and it finally did. So, congrats to Bronny making it to the NBA. Now the hard stuff starts. Now the work's got to kick in. So I'm looking forward to see how it turns out for him.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting him to spend some time in the G League maybe to get those more minutes. I heard CJ McCollum talk about it a little bit on ESPN too, where guys that are drafted later in the second round are, that don't get a lot of burn during the season, that play those be ready games with their assistant coaches and, the other talent that could possibly come in around the organization. So looking forward to see how Bronny grows. I don't really expect to see too much of him early on in the season, or maybe even at all, much. So looking forward to see how his game grows. Maybe he could live up to that Drew Holiday kind of hype. That's the comparison. That's the best case scenario. Or Davion Mitchell.
I saw people saw his floor is Avery Bradley, and I'm like, hey, Avery Bradley was a good player, all NBA, all defensive player. Yep. I think at his peak average, 15, 16 a game, good shooter.
Not a bad career.
Not a bad career at all. So. Yeah, no, I'm happy for him.
Yep.
just getting drafted is one thing, but then now, being able to share the floor with your father, learn from the best. I mean, there's really not many better players to learn from. So he'll have his dad with him, and yeah, man, I think it'll be a cool little opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I hope it works out for both sides. But yeah, I think that's all we got here, Jerry. So, like I said earlier, if you are on YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe. Put in the comments, your favorite free agency signing so far, what your favorite team has done so far, if you're a fan of their moves or not, what you expect to see from these remaining free agents and guys on the trade market, where you think that they'll be heading. If you are an audio-only listener, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating, a review, all that good stuff. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our shorts content here on YouTube for gamified content. And that's it. So, until next week, peace out.
Sure.